You have made a fortress in the Underdark with Astarion and other outcast vampire spawn. It is not civilized, it is not safe, but it is home. Few know how to find you, and most that do are unwelcome. So when a message arrives addressed to you both, you fear the worst. Hunters, killers, tormentors. But you need not fear. This letter is an invitation, and it comes from a friend. Written in a frail hand, it requests your presence at a gathering of your former allies, those who stood with you against the Absolute. The journey to the surface is long and perilous, and you would not miss this for the world.
Thou wert called here, some from above, some below. For with thine bond, together thou hast kept the wheel of fate spinning when it threatened to halt. Though thou wert drawn far apart in the months after the collapse of the Absolute, tonight, fate renews thy bond once more. Thou shouldst take care to preserve it. It is a great weapon, wielded in the hand of good. Go. Know one another once more.
I cannot remember.
There's something strange in your old friend's mouth. What is it? A familiar invitation. He wants you to throw the object he's dropped. But it isn't a ball. It's the astral prism. Scratch barks merrily in something like agreement. He whines. Let's talk, more throw.
Though I'm going to get very hungry very soon.
There you are. Keeping us all on tenterhooks so you can...
He looks coyly at the ground, suddenly shy. He snaps the air and wiggles. He's either miming fighting a many-limbed creature or dancing. It's unclear. He is, however, exhausted. He's had plenty of adventures without you. The joy in the owlbear's eyes is clear. He longs to have a home, and Halsin is perfect.
Starting to wonder if you'd show up. thought perhaps you mightn't want to be reminded of the past, even if it was to see old friends. But I'm glad to be proven wrong. Well, come here, will you? It's been forever. You feel a little more substantial than before. Less camping and scrounging off the land, I take it. I suppose I do, don't I? I'm glad you seem well. Truly. I had no doubt. But I'm glad to hear you say it all the same. Wandering, mostly. The adventuring life is almost a tonic when you're not constantly threatened by brain monsters and cultists. I can finally see the world beyond the cloister. Peace and quiet will still be there waiting once I've lived a little. Though, don't get me wrong, I've got a little cottage with a garden and animals in mind already. One of my first stops was the House of the Moon in Waterdeep. It's the largest temple of Selûne in existence. It seemed like the perfect spot to reflect on my parents, on where they came from. And where I came from too, I suppose. Hard to imagine, isn't it? Me, of all people, in the lair of the Moon Witch herself. Gods, your truest act of heroism was putting up with all that char and drivel I was spouting for so long. We had tea on his balcony. Tara even deigned to sit on my lap for... He seems to be doing well. In his element. Well, I've had run-ins with my former fellow Sharans on a couple of occasions. Word seems to have spread of what happened at the cloister. Now other chapters of Shar worshippers see me as a prime target to offer up to their lady as a sacrifice. Don't worry. I know their tired old tricks better than anyone. They'll need more than a hooded cloak and poisoned blade to best me. Must I? You presume a great deal. I'm joking. Of course I want to know. Tell me all. Do you ever rest? Think of all those poor, budding adventurers looking to make a name for themselves. Take some time off and give them a chance, why don't you? Hopefully these meetups will become a regular occurrence. It's not that I miss the tadpoles, but at least it brought us together. Now we've got to make the extra effort ourselves. I'm sure we will, but let's be proactive about it all the same. We're more than capable. After all, we've faced down bigger threats than wrangling together a few social calendars. Don't be a stranger.
Have to keep going.
Withers can pluck wine from all over the world, but is there one bottle of fresh blood?
Now, it's the star of the show. Our humble protagonist who forsook Baal to save the city. Our skeletal friend will be very pleased to see I found my way here, despite my invitation getting lost in the post. Always, my friend. But the villain I must needs slay today is my greatest yet. A deadline. You won't be surprised to find I'm soon to publish a little holiday read about our adventures together. I've gotten quite good at replicating your signature, so you needn't even bother with the release form. You might help me with the title, though. I'm considering The Hero and Me. What do you think? Oh, terribly sorry, but you mistake me, my friend. I'm only accepting complimentary feedback at this time. Perhaps, once the manuscript is finished, you'd even be willing to write a foreword? Or better yet, I'll write a draft and you can just sign your name. Better still, I'll sign it for you. Hmm? Ah, your success really has been wonderful for my reputation. But you mustn't let me hog your attention all night, my friend. You've many friends to chat to, and I'd love to listen in.
Gods, I smell like a 70-year-old cinder. Withers yanked me from Avernus with my blade halfway through a Cambion's belly without so much as a chance at washing up. I'll forget all that. By the stars' light and the moon's glow, it's so good to see you, and I've got so much to tell you. The Hell Hunt's no mere duty. It's a thrill. The demons I've disintegrated, the devilkin I've bled, the stories I could share. I don't suppose you'd indulge me. Yes, but just the one, or I'll be yammering all night. You want to hear about the Amnitsu at the Styx, the three-tusked Orthon, or the invading Gorestroi? Not just a pair, but a pack. Demonkin with no business treading the hells. Seems they had sights on a Palerion, one of Zariel's spies. At least, until I caught their eye. I wasn't the hunter anymore. I was the hunted, and they were the first to land a blow. Hoof to the back left a right nasty scar. Good thing for me, I'd learned every Gorestro's weakness. They're dumb as bugbears on a bender. Throw something shiny, and they'll chase it. Tossed a handful of gold pieces, and they scattered. A flurry of arrows dropped them before they could grab a single coin. Slit their necks for good measure. The damn things may be stupid, but they're sturdy, and I wasn't in the mood for nasty surprises. I've seen him more than a few times, and he's as proud of me as I am of him. He's leading the city's renewal, opened the gates to all newcomers, rebuilt the council from scratch. And he's back in his element, commanding the flaming fist with brave heart and no shortage of empathy. The likes of Gortash can bend people's minds with a few chosen words. No tadpole needed. Bane's Chosen primed the fist for a war they weren't meant to win. He convinced them there was an assassin hiding in every shadow, that cruelty was the correct answer to crisis. With a few exceptions, fathers pardoned every last fist. If my forgiveness not be Tyr's will, so be it. I shall forgive them all the same. His words, not mine. He still believes in the bow and the blade, but he's teaching the fist a new lesson. Valor is found not in the wounds you inflict, but in the lives that you have bettered. May they all take it to heart. I've missed you too. The rush of battles we fought, the heart-to-hearts, the nights around the fire, the comfort of knowing I didn't face the unknown alone. If I had to do it all over again, and I'd rather not, to be clear, I can't imagine not having you at my side. I won't lie. Losing the eldritch blasts and the hexes took some getting used to. Nothing but void, where once there was hellfire. So I stoked new fires in myself using the lessons my father once taught me. The Blade of Avernus is a ranger, a hunter of the most hellish prey. I wish you'd been there to join in. Oh, to battle together, just like the old days. I suppose that's my way of saying I miss you. Tonight, I toast not just the people we've become, but the people we were. Warriors, winners, saviors. Go on, the night's young. You shouldn't waste a moment of it. Or waste a single drop of wine for that matter. I plan on downing half a bottle myself. Oops, did I say half a bottle? I meant half a dozen.
Ah, soldier. How glad I am to see you again. I'd started to wonder if I ever would. Honestly, never better. My life is so rich now, so multifaceted. I've wanted to share it with you, but maybe I was scared. I've changed so much. But then again, so have you. Stubbornly yourself, aren't you? I suppose I used to be too. But this evolution has shown me parts of myself I never knew existed. For example, my favorite food used to be mutton chops. Do you know what it is now? Brains, soldier. Brains. I thought I was good at cracking skulls before. Now I've got it down to something of a science. Or maybe more of a religion. I've made arrangements with a healer in the city. When a patient is beyond saving, but still able to speak for themselves, they're offered a choice. They can go as nature intends to take them, or when they're ready, when their goodbyes have been said, their affairs settled, and all that awaits them is pain, I relieve them. When I consume their brains, I am nourished by much more than the physical nutrition. Their memories, from birth to death, become part of me. I've lived hundreds of childhoods, first loves, marriages, feuds and friendships. I remember them all. And in this way, we all live on together. Thanks, soldier. It's good to see you looking so well. And now that we've connected again, don't be a stranger. Enjoy the night, my friend. I know I will.
Well now, you can make yourself presentable when you have a mind to. Oh, forgive me. I am simply excitable. It It is good to be out under an open sky once more. My first, since the reconstruction began. We left quite a mess behind. But the city begins to look something like itself once more. Same twisting alleys for purse pickers. Same wooden buildings ready to get burnt by next year's dragon. Same cisterns overflowing. Huh. An empty throne, thanks to you. The city will not be long in burying it. Baldurians simply get on with it. Stubbornness, civic spirit, plain stupidity. Perhaps all three, but nothing I will sniff at any longer. Harpers have come from half the world over to lend aid. Farmers, masons, healers. My own son, Jord, has been wooed to their ranks. Already he plans crop cycles in Worm's Crossing. Not so for my daughter. Ryan's rejoined the Flaming Fist. Temporarily, you understand. To organize the craftsmen. Though she spends more time locking up comrades for pocketing aid funds. They might learn a thing or two if they don't expel her. Again. The beloved ranger? Oh, beloved wherever he goes. Winning all sorts over to our rebuilding efforts. Minsk has the guild and 9 fingers on board. Deep down, it seems even the wicked can be moved to care for the city that made them. Of course, many of the wealthy fled the city when danger struck. Ha! Perhaps the thieves only want to lure them back. But for now, their hands are busy laying bricks. While I hover around. Mistake me not. There is still much to be done. Plans to make, maps to be frowned over. But my children are more than capable of doing it. Even the young ones tire of me peeking over their shoulders. This night offers them a brief respite from me, at least. And this place, now I look at it, it is where you all spent your first night together, no? A fine spot for an adventure to begin. A fine spot indeed. Of course I am. Perhaps just the long way around. It would be good to stretch my legs for a bit. I'll find my way back. As I always do. I admit defeat. Baldur's Gate is my home. But that is the thing about home. The only way to see it clearly is to leave. And look back. For a little while, at least. But I see the flush in your cheeks when I speak of family. Perhaps you mean to start one of your own. Oh, I don't want to watch over a blood match where the duelists call me Auntie. Just be careful, Valspawn. All right, Bald child. It is true you are no longer what you were. You have done well for yourself. For all your travels. I hope you have arrived where you want to be. Home. Whatever that means to you. Ah, sentiment. With the greatest affection, I can think of better ways to sour our stomachs. I must inspect the refreshments. You'll never know. Some ne'er-do-well might have tampered with the wine.
A most welcome sight.
Associates always been so ugly.
For 2 months, Orpheus trained me in the ways of the comet. For 2 more, I skewered Kithraki bellies. And for 2 more yet, I traveled through Limbo.
I never imagined we'd be standing toe-to-toe on this day, in this place. Nothing but allies, I always told myself. A necessary partnership. But in spite of every strained word, every barbed glance, seeing you brings me even more pleasure than taking a Royal Inquisitor's head. It's nice to hear it. It has taken all of Orpheus's efforts to conjure my projection, and all of mine to convince him to let me come. Worth it, I'd say. I miss this place. This... Fey Run. Shractalor. I wouldn't expect you to. The capital city of the Githzerai, an exiled people, once kin with mine, until the madness of civil war ripped our one sky into two. Algish sent word of the rebellion to their god king Zareth Minyaragith through the cosmos. He's agreed to parley. It's fallen to me to secure an alliance. I was as surprised as anyone when Orpheus spoke the order. My blade is keen as ever, but it was you who showed me that a proper victory doesn't always require a razor-sharp edge. Sometimes, a sincere plea is more persuasive than a dagger against the neck. Minyaragith is an ascetic. He reached out in good faith. This is his way. It is in this spirit that I must meet him. And if he refuses, I carry on. Gravity pulls me in but one direction. I am a warrior of the comet. I will not rest until I burn Vlaakith's bones to ash and smash her phylactery to pieces. My people will be free. But you've heard that refrain before. Zealous, bossy, insistent. All part and parcel of my undeniable charm. Soon, when the comet has risen, when the Lich Queen has crumbled to dust, I miss this place. More to the point, I miss you. I wouldn't even deny it with Vlaakith's vorpal blade at my neck. Though, I'd rather it not come to that. Now go, mingle a bit. That's the word, right? Mingle. I'll be back one day. The Overgod himself couldn't keep me away. So it has. And a fine man the hatchling will be. I call him Zaan. Freedom. He is with the mages of Zambardim. I trust his care to no one else. Zaan's destiny will be his own to follow. Warrior, poet, explorer, scholar. His way will be the way of the comet. No chains to bind us, no lies to bury us. Liberty will be the rallying cry that unites our empire.
You made it! Now the revelry can truly begin.
Well, well. Look what the Tressim dragged in. Professor Gale Decarius of Blackstaff Academy. Educator of the esteemed School of Illusion. A pleasure to remake your acquaintance. Well, that was quite lovely. I'm glad you're as pleased to see me as I am you.
I have to say, I'm quite grateful to just be Gale for the evening. I fear my students find me somewhat intimidating due to my, explosive former reputation. I seem to put the fear of the gods into them. Or the fear of Mystra, to be more specific. I surrendered the crown of Carsus to her, as I told you I would. And in return, she cured me of the orb at last. Even now, I struggle to put the feelings into words. It was like exhaling for the first time after holding my breath for so very long. Of course, I haven't clarified with my students that the orb is no longer a threat. The legend of my explosive capabilities is an excellent means of controlling a classroom. Too good, if anything. I spend most of my time trying to convince them how much fun the study of magic can be. But it'd be easier to crack a smile on an intellect devourer than some of my pupils. Ah, so you still remember our little lesson. It was at that moment, the weave connecting us, that I realized how much your friendship had come to mean to me. As it still does. You were, of course, indulging me in submitting to such a lesson. Teaching you was hardly an effort at all. Not like my present cohort of apprentices. Oh, they try their best, of course, when they can manage to stay awake.
The cheek of them! Nothing a well-placed swipe from Tara can't fix, though.
And what of you? What are you making of this newfound lease of life we earned? And I couldn't be happier for you. A fitting reward for the sacrifices you made in getting here. I've told my students plenty of tales about our escapades. You're something of a hero to them, you know? I'll be delighted to introduce you to my current cohort as a guest lecturer, perhaps. I'm sure they'd have plenty of questions for you. I don't see why not. 2 heads are better than 1. Unless you're dealing with an Etin. Of course, you'll be most welcome to stay with me in my tower. My apologies, Tara. That would be our tower. It will give us plenty of time to catch up on your adventures. I'm very curious to know what you've been up to these past months. But I suspect the telling of that tale would keep you tied to me all evening. So, in the spirit of selflessness, I encourage you to mix and mingle for now, with time enough to come.
Oh, right. You. Hello. Yes, I'm certain it is. As for you, well, I've heard congratulations are in order. You helped Mr. Dicarios save Baldur's Gate from the Absolute, isn't that right? That doesn't sound like him. But whichever way you want to remember it, well done, I suppose. You ought to come visit myself and Gale when you're able. If you can extract yourself from what I'm sure are very important responsibilities. We'll send word by pigeon when we've need of you. I used to have a taste for them, but a great many things have changed in recent months. Ta-ta, darling.
Mustn't think.
You would think someone of my vintage would be inured to the passage of time. Yet these past 6 months have seemed endless without your company. But now, our paths cross once more. We have all pined for each other's company, I sense. I cannot imagine otherwise after what we shared. That bond was forged in a crucible that can never be stoked again, Oak Father willing. It is a bond that can weather any distance, any passage of time. I know it can, for I feel the longing for old friends in my heart each day. I always do. Should I ever decline, assume a doppelganger has taken my place. That was more than worth the wait. Apologies. You can probably understand my eagerness. I shall be as gentle as a feather next time. Now, we have much to catch up on. Do not allow me to ramble on. I am eager to hear all you've been doing. In that case, very well. Our community grows rapidly. In 6 months, we have turned what was once a shadowy wasteland into a true home for all. In another 6 months, I would wager the scars of the past will be entirely invisible, even to those who remember them. The old masonry of Moonrise Towers and Rythwin have been repurposed into new homes, and the land is rich with harvests and bountiful trees. Nature and civilization are in harmony, stronger together. My greatest purpose and greatest reward. Those children have been through more than fate had any right to cast at them, and yet they go on as resilient as anything in nature. I impart what knowledge I can to them, yet, in truth, they teach me far more. The land we saved is theirs, and they will cherish it, I'm sure. Thaniel and Oliver shall never want for friends again. As am I. I may age more slowly than most, but I do believe I've gained some new laughter lines of late. Now, please, tell me all, and spare no details. I shall not lie. I have an ulterior motive in wishing to hear all. It is the children, you see. My charges. Their appetite for bedtime tales is greater than I could ever have anticipated. Another story, Daddy Halsin. Another is the chorus that greets me each nightfall. They have all but exhausted my repertoire in but a few short months. No mean feat given the lifetime I have lived. I desperately need new material, please. My reputation is at stake. I am all ears, though I never cared for that phrase. A rather unsettling image. You have kept yourself busy. I expected no less, in truth. I shall be able to keep the children enthralled for a few more nights yet, thanks to you. And should you wish to retell of your exploits in person, well, I shall not object to a night off. Now, it would be cruel of me to hoard you all to myself for the evening, as much as I would like to. I shall leave you to the others for now, unless there was anything else. Do you truly even need to ask? Of course. Who could not open their home to a befeathered hero of Baldur's Gate? And I did promise the children I would bring them back a surprise. Oh, imagine their faces. I spend half my days in ursine form. The children demand it. I had a score of them taking turns riding upon my back just days ago. I'm glad they are so comfortable with the Oakfather's creations. But they must learn that not all are as amiable as I am. A lesson for another time, though. They deserve some joy. As for roaming, that impulse has dwindled, I must admit. Perhaps because I have found where I am meant to be. As did I, but somehow I feel like I no longer need to roam. That I have found something worthy laying roots for. Amazing what can be discovered about oneself, even at a ripe old age. On occasion, but I prefer not to interfere. Francesca of the High Forest is Archdruid now, and by all accounts, she has proven to be a steady and wise influence. Even Korga may yet find true balance, thanks to her influence. Quite often, they come and go as they please, but with so many playmates to avail of, they are far from strangers. They ask after you often. What you did for them will never be forgotten. I can see it in the land all around me. But more importantly, I see it in their faces whenever they visit. To make a child smile is to dabble with the power of gods, as far as I'm concerned. Before you go, I have something for you. Just a little keepsake, really. Do you remember how I told you I like to whittle? I made this. Ducks are my favorite, but I thought they were particularly fitting in this case. They are migratory birds, of course, traveling far and wide with the turn of the seasons. Yet, they always find their way back to where they belong. Just like old friends find themselves back in each other's company. Just a token to remember me by. Now, I've taken up enough of your time. Go on. Enjoy the festivities. We can speak again later.
I learned much under these berries. Though I'm going to get very hungry very soon.
Ah, breathe deep, Pooh. The smell of heroes sings from every stone in this place. Ah, to meet again where your journey began, my friend. An honor. For Minsk and his hamster both. Oh, and for Happy also.
Yes. Honored, of course.
See how your very presence snatches the breath from his chest? And it is no wonder. It is just this day that Happy learned of your legend, while we gazed down upon the very city you saved.
He dangled me from the high hall, upside down, for 2 hours.
The guild should not go creeping in high places if they do not have the stomach for them, It is well for Happy the strange portal appeared when it did. Minsk's arm was growing achesome. So I have. Though it is a peace made more from blade and boot than it is any sense of brotherhood. 9 fingers forbade any looting of the Illithid's fleshy vessels. And so Minsk guards what remains of the battle site. Even from her. But where Minsk might once have thrown any sneaking scoundrels from the tower top, now I tell them of you. How you ruled the wickedness within. How they might do the same.
Yes, I'll rule it. I'll be better.
No, of course. It is still for Boo to decide if they live or die.
Oh. Oh, gods.
But enough, my friend! I cannot tell your tale if I do not know the whole of it. Minsk and Boo would know where you have been, what you have done. Aha, the lovebirds still nest together then? Minsk is glad. For what is life without a companion? Though I am thinking yours does not sit on your shoulders, eh? Ah, you are right, Boo. That is none of Minsk's business. Now, Halfling, Boo will not have you embarrassing him in front of his friends. So you ought to know the rest of the company you keep. Will Ravengard, the Blade of Frontiers, Devil-Horned and Angel-Hearted. Lae'zel of Creshkiller, true child of Gith and true friend to Boo. Though she will and say it is not so. Astarion, who is banished by the sun itself for fear his Spanish soul might outshine it. We visit him much down in the dark places, though he often moves his lair without remembering to tell Minsk where. Gale, the man who would be a god, but then thought better of it. Boo thinks better of him for it too. Shadowheart, two gods tugged at her soul, but she managed to keep it all for herself in the end. Wait, Boo, did she do something with her hair? Halsin, Archdruid of Arch... somewhere. He is a much better man than he smells. And there, the champion of... having tentacles, Karlak. She was once very tall and strong like Minsk, but we still like her as she is. And finally, Jahira. If this is a name you do not already know, then not even Boo can save you. Study them well, sneak thief, for the best among them will be a guide for your guild. Heroes who put the city before themselves, who never falter in their duty. And more than this, who never arrive to a party without even a gift for the host.
But wait!
Go, my friend. Be among our friends. There is much work yet to be done before this one is fit to join them.
Oh, pardon me.
Withers has a keen eye for a nice vintage. Why were we scrounging in barrels and crates for supplies when he could source these? God, I remember one evening when we had to eat 14 apples, some fish heads, and a stale loaf of bread just to get by.
All right. I can hold your tree.
Oh no, little Harry. Minsk cannot be done.
Oh, hello. Let me guess, you've got some suggestions about the music choice.
Suppose I'll get back to it then. Come now, out with it. It would be a shame to leave a party like this bereft of music too long. I owe him a favor, one he is eternally invoking. I thought honoring the worthy was a fair price to pay for Withers to pull me out of the fugue plane. Alas, one purgatory to another. Languishing in obscurity. Cyric knew what he was doing when he punished me for that song, the prick. Before I was banished to the fugue plane, I had song prayers coming out the proverbial ears. Guess how many I get now? None.
Musical prayers were once offered to Melil, Lord of Song, a minor deity whose worship faded after offending the trickster god Cyric.
I'm washed up, I'm afraid. You know? You're bloody right! It is an honor! Finally! The scribe picks an adventurer of substance, of culture! What can I do you for? Your wish is my... etc. What song do you want? Fantastic idea. It'll suit the whole affair perfectly.
And how have our friends fared without us? I'm glad. It would be so easy to go through everything we did and come out the other side bitter and twisted. But they deserve happiness. We all do. And I will forever be grateful to have found it with you. I do feel a little bad keeping you all to myself. After all, I get to see you every night. Go on, go mingle. Enjoy your time with the others. Bless them with your presence. I'll be here when you're ready. I'll always be here, my love.
This one night is like any other, and yet different. Thou art the savior of Baldur's Gate, until such time it requires saving again. How dost thou feel? Thou givest thyself so little credit. The duty borne by you was great. You could have well shirked. Thou gavest what it was possible to give. The realm continues for your sacrifices. Enjoy the revelry of the day. Thou deservest at least that much. What indeed? Prick up thy ears and listen. The balance of the world restored. The balance of these lives, mortal and otherwise, brought to account. Hear me, thou heroes, wastrels, friends. I have waited long to tell you these words. It is over. For now. played thy part in weaving the fabric of fate itself, but for every thread you sewed, so did the gods unravel another. Sleep, rest, revel, but be ready, for thou mayst yet be needed. Until we meet again, I wish thee every possible fortune, health, wealth, love, and above all, problems worth solving. To you. There thou art, the dead three. Thy faces gods, thy actions barely worthy of the name. Didst truly believe thy ploy would succeed? Didst believe I would not notice? Thou soughtst to bolster thy strength by taking away the souls of mortals. But souls vanish when their hosts become mind flayers. Didst think the other gods would not notice? Gods thou may be, yet thou hast proven thyself fools. Everyone. The supplication of Bane, the whimper of Baal, the death mule of Merkel. Felled by mortals, I overestimated thee. They did not. Vermin, away. Thou wilt trouble us no more.